Folks, I'm ready to get started here, and I appreciate those of you who are here. I've told you the topic today is going to be the 90-day plan, using the cycle of success. And at the end of it, the last few frames of tonight or today, I'm going to be showing you a math formula that if you'll follow it, you'll make $250,000 a year. And you're going to look at it, and you're going to take your hand and hit your forehead, and you're going to say, why did I not see that? And I just want you to know that. And I've got a guest. I got a guest with me today. He's one of the licensees. It's Benton Williamson. Benton, say hello.
Hello.
Benton lives in Oregon.
Yes.
Is moving to Tennessee. Is in the process of buying a house. Has a wife expecting a baby when?
May.
And you're going to move across country.
Yes.
During the holidays.
Yeah.
Go from fall to winter.
Right.
And wants to incorporate all that into a 90-day plan, plus do his job. Right.
Right.
And I don't know what your situation is, but if you're in a similar situation, or hold on, let me turn that off. If you're in a similar situation, or you just want to learn how to incorporate the 90-day plan into the cycle of success, just pay attention, because I'm promising you at the end, I'm going to show you something that's a real easy way to make $250,000, but it's also a pretty easy way to have a $500,000 income or a $1 million income. And if that scares some of you, and if you only want a $90,000 income, that's okay too. Because sometimes a $90,000 income is a 200% pay raise. So anyway, the 90-day plan, using the cycle of success. So I just want to ask you a couple of questions first. Okay. To do that, I'm going to show you how to control your income and make it grow using the estate planning process. And I'm going to be showing you what you need to know. And it has nothing to do with the sales presentation, nothing to do with whether you wear a tie or overalls or suspenders or a bow tie. It doesn't matter. If you follow what I'm about to show you, it's real easy for you to make $250,000 this year. And it doesn't matter where you're from, what your neighborhood is, or anything like that. Look at that. First step is to commit to the process. And Ben and I are going to be talking about it here in a minute, but when I talk to the almost 100 licensees, most of the time when I see that somebody's had a license to do family estate docs, and for 60, 90, 120, 150, 180 days, and has yet to write their first case, I keep thinking, well, they're not committed to the process, or they don't believe in the process. And it makes me wonder what's going on. But I'm going to show you how to identify how to fix that. The very first thing you want to do is look at your calendar, because you can plan any size income you want in the financial services business. You can do it. So my first question is are you part-time or full-time? And it doesn't matter to me whether you're part-time or full-time. You can be part-time and make $250,000 a year, or you can be full-time and make $250,000 a year. It just depends on how hard you want the work to be. And I don't mind telling you, sometimes I work too hard. I get tired, and it's because sometimes I don't control the momentum. Sometimes the things I do early in the month or early in the quarter don't pay off until the middle of the quarter or later in the quarter, and then other people pass away or send me referrals, and all of a sudden I've got more work to do than I know what to do with. And that's a good thing most of the time. So I just want to ask you a question. How will you pay your bills over the next 90 days? And another question, is your cash flow comfortable? Do you know when your income will come in? Well, that's something you can plan. The next thing is, are you in control of the income process? So let me ask you a question. How many $1,300 deposits would satisfy your goals? And some of y'all recognize that $1,300, especially if you're understand the value of the product I'm asking you to sell. Some of you don't give it the value that it should have. But I just want to ask you this question. Is your income this month determined by your sales last month? And some of you know exactly what you're going to get on the 10th of the month from Family Estate Docs. Some of you are not going to get anything. I hope that's a personal choice, because I hope you'll choose to say, hey, my overall gross income is tied to the number of $1,300 deposits I get. And it is. The next thing is, do you have a fixed income? Some of us do, some of us don't. Okay. There's a couple of folks that are with us that have a guaranteed income every month, and maybe it's a salary, maybe it's Social Security and a pension, and you know what you're going to get, but you're still here. It makes me wonder why. And I think I know why. It's either because you have a gap, an income gap, or you have a desire to have more than whatever that fixed income is. Look at this. I just want to ask you this question. Are you planning this week's income or next month's income? You know, if you're going to be in this Family Estate Docs process, the cash flow injections that I can provide to you are a one-time each month injection based on what you do the month before. So if we're talking about October income from Family Estate Docs, it's got to be the work you do in October generates the front end sale income that you have in the month of November. But that doesn't mean you can't make money in October, but it's going to have to be on the back end sale or funding existing estate plans. Think about that a minute. Benton, I'm getting ready to ask you a question, but you know, if you approach somebody and they say, no, I've already got an existing estate plan, you can have an appointment the next week that might generate a 1.2 or 1.3 or $1.5 million sale. Because remember now, most estate plans are not properly funded. So it's not too late to have an October income from being in estate planning. It's too late to have an income from the front end sale, but not the back end sale. Okay, so Benton, I'm going to ask you a question right now. You and I have had some conversations this week a little bit. Can you tell me some advantages that you've learned from a 90-day plan?
I mean, one is, just from my own experience of lack of planning, it's only led to failure. But the biggest things are just knowing my income coming in and then planning for the income the next month and then over the 90-day period.
Okay, I wouldn't call what you have done a failure. You've written some pretty nice business. Okay, what I've learned from Benton though is that just a little bit of coaching, not training, but just a little bit of coaching on how to use the calendar to regulate and control the workflow is maybe something that you need to do a little work on.
Yes.
Okay. And even though you might have $150,000 in commissions in your first 30 days, 90 days around us, it could be a whole lot more. But at the same time, the reason I wanted Benton here is because I wanted you all to know that this young man here has got so much stuff going on in his life in the next 90 days that if he doesn't grab his calendar and take control of it, 90 days can slip right by. So we talked a little bit today about planning his schedule for the holidays, for the move that he's about to make, to spend time with his pregnant wife, to sell his house in Oregon, to buy a house in Tennessee, to do all the stuff that has to be done in closing out a house and buying a new house and working in a career. Okay, so those are all things. Most of y'all don't have all those obstacles in the way. Sometimes you might find that you're the obstacle. So when I talk about a 90-day plan, I want y'all to know what I do with my 90-day plan. On September 30th, I had a 90-day plan that included September, October, November. But on October 1, I threw September away. And I added a month on the end, which was December. And I had to ask myself, and some of y'all that know me, I'll be honest with you, that September was the busiest month I have had in maybe 2 or 3 decades. And that, to be honest with you, that means that I let myself down on service work, and there's things that I promised that I didn't get done because I let the momentum build so quick that it was like riding a big wave. And I mean, the income was nice, but I didn't do as good a job as I had been doing in the past because I had let my momentum get too big. But anyway, when I look back at September, I could show you my September. Some of y'all that came in for the boot camp last week, I showed you my calendar. My calendar is booked almost every minute of the week, and then sometimes on the weekends. And that's too much for me. I'm getting old. I like to not work sometimes. Okay. But the first thing I want to do when I look at September is ask myself the question, did I stick to the plan? And I'm going to have to say, no, I did not. I let down on some of my service work because I had planned service work that I let get bumped because I was too busy riding the wave. That didn't turn out that good for me or for my clients that I didn't get the service work done. So the other thing is I asked myself the question, what worked? What did not work? And what worked was the momentum from the sales. What did not work was the disappointment I think some of my clients had me because I didn't get all my service work done. It's important. Okay. The next thing is I need to ask the question, what hindered the plan? Because if I can make those corrections and my song that I've been singing to myself, sometimes I whistle and sing to myself when I'm in the car. Some of you won't know this song, but I bet you Ed Taylor does. Slow down, you're moving too fast. Got to make the morning last. And sometimes if you get too many things going and you get going too fast, you start missing shots and you start missing things. Okay, but if I look down at my last 30 days and ask myself what factors made it successful, I would have to say it was the referrals and the identification of suspects and the expectation that suspects would agree to meet with me on my calendar. I expect them. I'll be honest with you, if I see a suspect that I think is going to benefit from a conversation with me, I expect them to agree to an appointment because I have that much confidence in the fact that I'm going to help them if they talk to me. If there's anything that I can get instilled in you this week or this day or this month, is that you need to expect to be able to help those people because of how much you know. That's why you review it every 30 days. Come November, I'll be working on November, December, January. Ben, let me ask you another question. Have you planned any approaches, or where are you in your approach planning stage?
Well, yes, I've got an actual prospect that I'm converting to a client, and then I'm actively, something I didn't do initially in terms of like listening to you and actually following the process, is making a suspect list that I can then convert to prospects. So I'm actively working on that list
Okay.
now.
All right. So when you actively convert a suspect to a prospect, which leads to a client, which begins them to advocate, automatically replaces one suspect with the names of 4 to 6 or 8 suspects, because you've drawn their family tree, and you can see where their brothers and sisters and mothers and fathers and children are all is needy for the information that you. So one shouldn't replace one. One should be replaced by more than one if you do it correctly.
Right.
Okay. So the next question is okay. So how does the cycle of success factor in? So and again, look at your calendar. And I just want you to ask yourself, are you using personal observations to identify suspects who would benefit from a conversation with you about their current estate plan? Folks, I closed a $1.2 million or almost $1.3 million case this morning because of a personal observation. I had heard in the intonation of a man's voice that he was uncomfortable with the amount of risk he had in his portfolio. And instead of trying to tell him that I could modify his portfolio, I asked him if he would like to have a conversation with me to see how his portfolio fit his current estate plan. I hope you heard what I just said. So the next thing is, are you working your existing clients by introducing the estate planning concept into your annual reviews? Something I learned from Frank Divers last week is people all the time saying, well, are you practicing law or doing that? The real question is, do you not have an obligation to your clients to talk to them about how what they're doing with you would fit into their current estate plan? Do you not have that obligation? Do they not expect you to do that? It's important. So let's just look at this. Do you have a list of people you think would benefit from a conversation with you about their current estate plan? That's okay. So the question is, now you need to write this down, because I want to ask you, where do you get your suspects? And do you have it on your calendar to generate that list? When I ask people for lists of suspects, I would expect them to get a new list every week or two at least, but not just once every 90 days. But I'm going to show you how to make $250,000 with a list of 10 suspects each month here in a few minutes, if you want to learn. But you got to look at your family. You got to look at your friends. Now, your friends are hard, family's hard. I understand that. Until one of your friends has a stroke, or till one of your friends has a death in the family, or one of your friends, something goes on where you could have fixed it if you had taken the time to approach them correctly. Your clients, referrals, personal observations, and the family tree illustrations. Folks, I've got so many family tree illustrations in files that I could pull it out right now and talk to any of my clients about, hey, how's your mom? How's your dad? How's your brother? How's your sister? How are your children? Even though they're living in a different state, and they'll look at me and they go, how do you remember all that? And they forget that I drew it and put it in their file. And they'll tell you about, oh, so-and-so's getting married, or so-and-so's husband got sick. And all of a sudden you should jump on that and say, those people would benefit from what I know. Not that you're going to make any money at it, but you will. So let's talk about the fourth quarter for a minute. Ben, I bet Ben's looking at his calendar today. Tell me something about that new calendar. Why did you go buy it?
Just because I needed to be able to see, I mean, I've got a daily planner, but I needed to be able to see on a monthly basis and really mark out, because for me, I like underestimate like specific days that I'm going to take off. So for moving, the closing of the house that I'm selling, holidays with family, and I really need to be able to, have a 1,000-foot view of what my month looks like, so I can account for the actual days that I'm going to be working. There's 90 days, but I'm not going to be working the full 90 days.
Right. Okay. So you can back into this. You can back into this process by looking at your 90 days and marking off the days you're not going to work. You know that you can't be available to your market or to your clients, or that you choose not to be available. And if you look at it, if you don't like to work on weekends, there's 13 weekends. That's 92 minus 26 right there. If you spend the day Halloween getting dressed up in an outfit and drinking all night, you might have 2 days off on Halloween. There are a lot of Jewish holidays coming up. There's a lot of Christian holidays coming up. Thanksgiving can be anywhere from a 1 day off to 5 days off. New Year's is usually 2 days, and then whatever special days you plan. So if you have a 90-day plan, you've got to figure out which of those days you're not going to do anything. Right there, just looking at it, that tells me that there's probably 31 to 33 days out of that 92 days that most people are not going to work. And that's okay. So that means you probably have 60 productive days in your 90-day plan. Unless you're a workaholic like me, you probably work more than you should. But so and Ben, I was talking to you about a minute ago, there's no Chinese proverb that I want you to really listen to, because I've used it for most of my life. If you state the answer, then ask the questions how to get there, you'll always get there, because you know where you're going. So let me give you an example. If you want a $10,000 income in November and $15,000 in December, you can do that with approximately 15 estate docs front end sales. I was talking to a new licensee, Barbara. I hope you're on here. I don't know if you are or not, but to be excited about the effect you can have in people's lives by sitting down and drawing their family trees will lead you to many estate doc sales. But look down there at that little brown brick at the bottom. 2 family estate doc sales and 1 back end sale of $200,000 will get you 1,300 plus 1,300 plus 15,000. And I've told many of you in the past that the reason I've developed this process is because I was attending the Mike Stranka show, and he was saying, all you got to do is have the income sale. All you got to do is have the income sale. And he'd look at me and he'd go, all you got to do is have the income sale. And I'd look at him and go, well, how do I get to the point where I have an income sale? And he'd say, go to your clients with money. Go to your clients with money. And he made the assumption that I already knew which of my clients had money. Now, people I have known less than 30 days are writing checks for over $1 million. And it's because I did the family tree asset positioning sales presentation and followed the process, led them into the estate plan, talked to them about their long-term care needs, did their income review, asked them their health questions, did their asset review, asked them if they didn't think that they needed to go ahead and lock in the proper paperwork for their estate plan. And when we deliver it, I've got some ideas for them, but I need to do some research and I need to run some numbers. And when I go back to see them, would they like to see their numbers? What's so hard about that? Is that hard, Benton?
No.
Good. But, I'll be honest with you, last night, I realized that the appointment I had this morning, I realized I wasn't ready. So I pulled the file and I went in there and sat down in the kitchen on the kitchen table and I organized all my thoughts. And I wrote down the agenda that I was going to follow this morning. And I titled it Third Appointment Agenda for Mr. and Mrs. Somebody. And I modified the first agenda and said, we've already done this. We've already done this. We talked about this, but this is the information you need. And I brought it. And they were anti-index annuity because they had looked up FINRA and they had read all the bad reports about fees and index annuity contracts with income riders. And they said, there's a fee there, there's a fee there, there's a fee there. And this is how I dealt with it. I said, yes, there is a fee. And if you do not understand what it is you're paying for, you will not want it. But if you understand what it is you're paying for, you might want it. Why don't we go ahead and look at what it is you're paying for? And when Mom and Dad started talking, Mom looked at Dad and said, well, what do you think? And he said, well, we have $2 million and it doesn't seem like a bad idea to put $500,000 of it in reserve in case we get sick. Because I think Randy's right. I think someday one of us will get sick because I'm 83 and you're 77. One day our health's going to fail and we'll know that we've socked some money aside to take care of that. And we've still got $1.5 million to share and enjoy and invest any way we want. And she looked at me and she said, okay, that's what we want to do. But 15 minutes before that, they told me they didn't want to do it. So how many family tree asset positioning presentations with family estate doc sales do you have to do to run into that situation? Well, you don't need to do that. All you need to do is approach 10 people in October, make at least 2 family estate doc sales, and fund one of them with $200,000, which is only a $1,000 a month gap. If you find somebody making $4,000 off of Social Security, mom and dad, but they have $5,000 worth of expenses, they have a gap of $1,000. $1,000 times 12 is $12,000. $12,000 with an income payout at 5 or 6% is about $200,000. That's not a big annuity sale. Not a big annuity sale at all. But if you want to make $10,000, you can make one family estate doc sale, $1,300, and one income planning sale with $125,000, and that's about $8,500 right there. One sale. So I know that if you approach 10 people, 7 are going to meet with you and 3 of them are going to buy. If you want to make $100,000 to $200,000 a year in the estate planning business, you don't have to do 10 a month. You don't have to do 10 a week. You don't have to do 10 a day. You probably need to approach 10 new suspects a month. That's it. But you better get good at it. I'll tell you one real quick little story about my friend Fred Isaacs. Passed away. We went fishing right before he died, and I told him I was going to catch a redfish over in this creek, and he looked at me, and I don't know if you know what a redfish is, but it's a saltwater fish that swims around the coast. And they get real big and they taste real good. But I looked at him and I said, we're going to catch a redfish over in that hole. And he said, how do you know that? And I said, because I know where they hang out. I took my lure and I threw it over in that hole, and it was 15 seconds later, I had this big, huge redfish on there. And he looked at me and he said, how did you do that? And I said, I knew where they hang out. And I'll tell you where people that have got $1 million and they need an estate plan, I'll tell you where they will hang out. They hang out at home. And all you got to do is find out where they live and who knows them, and get somebody that you've done a good job with to refer you to them. And you're going to be right in the door, and they're going to welcome you with open arms, because they're going to know that their friend benefited from a conversation with you about their estate plan, because you were good at it and made it easy for them to understand. And, that's all I really want to teach you how to do. So what is the first step? And I guess that green on white wasn't a good choice, but it was early this morning. First step is learn how to hunt. And if you don't know how to hunt, go to my website, randallbaxter.com. Type in the password when you go to FTAP training. The password is capital F, capital T, capital A, capital P, no space courses, FTAP courses. You'll get a table of contents, and one of the chapters on the table of contents is "Let me teach you to hunt." And if you're not making the sales you want to make, you probably ought to go watch that video. But you have to learn who buys estate plans and who has the money to properly fund their estate plans. If you're not dealing with those kind of people, you probably don't have a very big income on estate planning. You have to learn who those people are, and you have to learn how to approach them. And they're easy to approach because they want someone to lead them through that conversation with each other. That conversation I had this morning was me talking to two people who were talking to each other, with me leading them through the topics. They were talking to each other. They weren't talking to me. They were 55 and older. They were homeowners, either soon to retire or already retired, or people in relationship changes or asset changes and health changes. It was the personal observation of a desire to make an asset change that I just heard in a conversation that led me to that approach, that led me to that sale. They didn't know I was on the hunt. So just let me ask you a question. Who succeeds in our space? Now, who are you? And see if you're in here somewhere. But who succeeds in the estate planning world? And the answer is Medicare agents, excuse me, who have middle-class clients. Now, a lot of them are real busy right now out chasing, picking up the nickels, or I'm sorry, tripping over the $100 bills, picking up the nickels on the Medicare policies. And that's okay, because when you do that, it's your personal observation about their life that can help you engage them and help them benefit from a conversation about estate planning. The next one is PNC agents. You know some PNC agents, Benton. And if you are a PNC agent and you're not approaching these people about their estate plans, well, that's your fault. Somebody else is going to do it. But right now, there's not enough of us who know what's going on to hit everybody or to contact everybody that needs to be contacted. There's just not enough of us. That will end. And I think that will probably end in 3 or 4 years. So right now, the low-hanging fruit is also the nice-hanging fruit. It's easy to get an appointment to talk about something because you're distinctive and you're not out being a product salesman like everybody else. Life license agents, tax planners, and tax filers, you guys are sitting on the biggest gold mine that I ever saw in my life, because anybody who trusts you enough to do their taxes will trust you if you approach them about doing estate plans. Okay, so remember the course I taught you a couple of weeks ago about massive action. If you take massive action, if you want to know about massive action, write my name down and my email down and make an appointment. Let's talk about it. Investment advisors, 65, 7, 6, 62s, whatever they are. You ought to talk to your clients about their estate planning, because I know an investment advisor this morning that lost a $1.3 million case. He doesn't know it yet. But entrepreneurs, some of y'all want to be master licensees and senior master licensees. Some of you even want to be white labels like me. I'll help you get there. I will teach you how to do that. What I have learned is that the people who are out there trying to get people to sign up for estate planning under their label are not getting taught how to sell it, which I'm trying to show you how to sell it. And the other people, ask people, there are people who have an income goal or a need for momentum. These are the people that are successful. If that's not you, if you ask yourself the question, why am I not making a lot of money doing this? If you'll spend about 15 minutes with me, we'll isolate it and find out what it is. I'll help you with it. So how do you build momentum in the fourth quarter? And why do you want to build? If you build momentum in the fourth quarter, you'll have a great 2024. If you hang around and don't build momentum in the fourth quarter, you'll be trying to build momentum in the first quarter. So week one, here's what I'm going to tell you to do in week one. That's this week. That started yesterday and ends this Friday if you don't want to work this weekend. Approach or find a list of people, 10 people to approach that you think would benefit from a conversation with you about estate planning. That's all you have to do. The rest of the week, do whatever it is you're doing. Week two, approach 10 more people the same way. But what you're going to find is that in week two, you've got 4 to 6 people that you approach in week one that want to talk to you about their estate plans. So you're either going to have to get rid of some of the bad behavior or weak behavior or non-productive behavior in week two, or you're going to have to get more efficient on finding the names of the 10 people you're going to approach. And that's the key. If you go in and talk to those 4 to 6 families, I will promise you'll come out of there with a longer list of suspects. I promise you, if you do it right, you'll come out of there with more suspects than you went in with. If you approach 10 people, 7 will agree, 3 will buy, and voila. Y'all didn't know I could speak French, did you? Voila. You'll have a November income. And if you understand that the value of the product that you're selling is worth $19.95, and stop this silly discounting that's going on, you're worth $19.95. The product they're buying is worth $19.95. The service that you get is worth $19.95. The value they get for the rest of their life with no more legal fees on their estate plan is worth $19.95. So why do I see sales coming in for $8.95? Anyway, if you do 2 family tree asset positioning go-to presentations in weeks 2 or 4, that equals about 6 and 2 to 3 back-end sales, plus the opportunity to close 2 or 3 income sales at an average of between $5,000 and $20,000 in commissions each. Now, you have to see yourself being able to do that. So look at this and understand that I'm just trying my best to show you the easy way to go. 10 new suspects from the family tree asset positioning go-to interview will equal 4 to 6 second interviews to establish the diagnosis and to apply the prescription. And you know, I don't think I understood the use of that term until about 6 or 7 months ago, and I realized that when I use the confidential and the agenda, I have the opportunity to diagnose a situation that will present itself in the conversation between a man and his wife, that I will lead them through by asking them the questions about their long-term care needs and their income plans and their health and their current asset structure. Because most people's asset structure is not congruent with what their goals are. And it's because they don't know how to do that. So if I can get you to select those 10 suspects and do that interview and have those 4 to 6 second interviews, all of a sudden you'll start getting conditioned and habits begin to form. And all of a sudden your income and your confidence begins to soar like a high-flying seagull in my book. Remember that seagull that went over and talked to people who were already flying real high and said, how are you doing that? And some people said, I do it, but I'm not going to teach you how to do it. Some people say, I do it. You just have to learn it the hard way because I'm not going to help you. And some people say, well, let me show you how. Do this, do that. And for those of you who have not read the Jonathan Livingston Seagull book, you got to go get it. It's a pretty cool book. So why redo the 90-day plan after every 30 days? It allows you to make adjustments in your strategy and to correct mistakes, errors, or lapses in judgment. And Benton, tell me something that you've learned this week.
I mean, the building momentum is critical, but failing to plan is planning to fail.
That's right. Okay, so and the only reason I put Benton in the spot this week, and I said I want you to be a guest on my show, because I realized how many balls he was juggling during this 90 day, these 3 months coming up.
Right.
And I just wanted to get him to focus on the fact that doesn't mean you have to have a hard time in your career just because you've got so many things going on in your life. Put it on your calendar. Find the days that you've got available to work. Decide what it is you need to accomplish in those work days, and you'll see your career starting to build like a snowball, even though I'm thinking you might have 20 to 40 days in your 90-day period to work.
Right. Okay.
Well, you can either have a 20-day income during that 90 days, or you can have a 90-day income during that 90 days. It just depends on what you do. Okay. And how you use your time. Okay. So if you reevaluate every 30 days, it allows you to measure the quality of your suspect selection and prospect development. It allows you to compensate for illness, lack of confidence, and to identify bad habits that limit your growth and success. I'm going to read that one over, okay? So let it soak in. Allows you to compensate for illness, lack of confidence, and to identify bad habits that limit your growth and success. It allows you to identify hang-ups that limit your growth. And you can do that by I can do that right now by looking at September. You can look at your September if you have a record in your calendar about how you spent that time and how much income that actually generated for you in October. And if you are unhappy with what that production was, we need to throw some things out and put some new behaviors in. If you want to, you don't have to. Or a lot of people are happy where they are. So why incorporate the cycle of success? And y'all have heard me harp on it, and I know that, but at the same time, it works. So the cycle of success, you can identify your weaknesses. And your weakness, if your weakness is you just don't take the time to identify suspects, you are choosing to be there. That's the truth. You are choosing to not have the income that you could have. Or you're too busy doing something else, and maybe that's fun too. But to improve your approach techniques is why you want to incorporate the cycle of success, because if you are approaching people and not getting appointments, I promise you're approaching them wrong, because they want to be led in the estate planning world. They just haven't met anybody with the skill and the technique. I'm going to call it savoir faire. That's another French thing, isn't it? To make it happen. But you have to improve the quality of the suspects. And you have to improve the quality of the suspect conversion to prospect. Personal observation, skill, desire, confidence to know that you can change these people's lives. But it also, you can identify where sales techniques need improving. You know, why work so hard to get an appointment and then go in there unprepared? Why go in there without an agenda? Why go in there without a sales presentation? Why go in there without understanding why the power phrases work? You know, what good is that? So it also lets you identify the value of the advocate process. Because I don't want to talk to somebody, I don't want to spend the name in my suspect list if I'm not going to replace it with 5 or 6 better suspects than the one I used. That's what takes you from the $200,000 sale to the $500,000 sale to the $1 million sale. You have to improve the quality of the suspect. You have to know that you're following what works. And the only way to do that is to understand the cycle. So if you're tired of hearing it, well, I'm not going to stop saying it, but it's okay if you quit listening. It's okay, because I love spending my time with people that start getting excited and seeing what's going on. They call me and they go, wow, doing what you said doing just made these people roll over and buy from me, and they're going to give me a lot of money next week. And it makes me feel good to know that we can change lives on that level. So let me just ask you this question. Do you want to earn $250,000 in 2024? I mean, is that a good enough goal? Some of you, that might mean you go bankrupt. I don't know. But remember the Chinese proverb that I talked to you about? What is the answer to $250,000 equals 7% of some number? That's 5th grade math. Remember those questions? I hated them. Somebody throw $250,000 equals 7% of, and I didn't know what to do about that. What do you do? Okay, it's a multiplication math problem. It's 5th grade. So we figured it out this morning. $250,000 in income is $3,571,428.57 in sales in 2024 in annuities, which is the average mediocre annuity salesperson on the upper echelon, top third of the class of annuity salesmen. It's the lower part of the upper part of the third. Monthly production, then, all you got to do is take that $3 million number and divide it by 12, And that takes you down to about $300,000 in sales each month. That's somebody with $1,000 monthly gap and somebody with a $500 monthly gap. That's not a lot. And if you run into somebody, when you do their income analysis on page 2 of the confidential, and you find out that their Social Security income is $4,000, mom and dad put together, but they have a $5,000 budget, they're pulling money from assets, or they're going to work at a separate job, or they're cutting expenses. And that is not a lot of money. People have that kind of money in their 401ks. And when they realize that you know how to turn that into income for life and how to make it double when they get sick, they're going to listen. So if the average gap is $1,000 or $12,000 per year, one sale for a 65-year-old retiree to close the gap is about $240,000. Why not create the opportunity to solve for the gap? Remember when I told you when Max Strankin was telling me, go out there and sell to people that already have money, I kept asking, well, how do I get in that situation? How do I place myself in that role? I had to write the book, Approach, Plan, Succeed. I had to write the script for Family Tree Asset Position and go to first interview to talk to people about their estate plan leading up to the fact that they needed to properly fund that estate plan with an income analysis. I'll be honest with you, that was hard for me to do and easy for me to teach and easy for you to do if you know what to do. So the easy solution to $250,000 income in 2024, the easy solution, approach 10 quality suspects in the month of October, the month of November, the month of December. Get 7 appointments in any month. Make 3 sales using your family estate docs, aka the front end sale. Make 1 funding sale and income for life, closing a $1,000 gap, which is easy if you're fishing in the right fishing hole. It's not easy, it's easy peasy. Unless you have bad habits that you're unable to break. And if you've got bad habits that you're unable to break, well, you're going to have skinny children. Or you may have FUD. Remember we talked about FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And here in a minute, I'm going to open this up for questions. And I hope you've written some questions down. But here's the reasons for failure in the estate planning world. One is you're lazy. That's your issue. That's not mine. If that's the reason, you just don't do the work. There's nothing I can do about that. Bad habits, break them by following the 90-day plan. If you are getting up consistently doing things and at the end of the month you are unhappy with what you get from that, you got to figure out what it is you're doing wrong. The other one is disbelief. That's why I showed you the math. The math is very simple to make $250,000. I don't think if you make $250,000, I don't think you'll be happy with it. Because all of a sudden you're going to realize that you're making more than your expenses and you want more. But anyway, the next one might be fear. And if you would just apply what I'm trying to teach you to do and practice it, you will get good at it. But some people say, oh, I don't have a market. Well, if you look at me and tell me you don't have a market when I know the market's wide open and everybody in the world needs an estate plan and most people are looking for somebody to talk to them about it and all you got to do is approach them, then you need to go get a job. Or just open your eyes. That's why I put the pair of glasses on the picture there. Because this market for an intelligent, hungry person who needs to increase their lifestyle and take care of their family is wide open. Wide open. Reasons for success is people who emulate this process watch their incomes go up. People who commit to the strategy understand how easy it is to do it every day. If you know your numbers, you're going to be successful, because if your numbers aren't working, I can show you what you need to do to make those numbers work. If you talk to me and explain what's going on, I will tell you the answer. I will show you what to do about it. I will try to that you have to build the confidence that people will benefit from a conversation with you about their current estate plan. And if you use the agenda that I give you, and if you follow the confidential and know the logic behind the process of the power phrases, you cannot fail. Unless you want to. So anyway, if you want to make this the best 90 days of your career, not the highest income, it won't be the highest income. If you start this process right now, I promise you it won't be the highest income. But the time when you set the stage for a career of success, that's what this 90 days can be about. And I promise you, the income will follow. If you take control and look at your calendar, subtract the days you're not going to work, and commit to do the right things during the days that you're going to work, you take control, and that, my friend, is up to you. I will train you and coach you. You've already paid me. I make money every time you get a sale. I'm highly interested in you getting a sale. And I'll teach you what I know, and I'll teach you what I do. Nothing more, nothing less. I went to the UT football game this weekend, and I had a lot of close experiences with some of the coaches, and I got to go down on the playing field and watch the players hit each other. And I watched the coaches showing them how to hit each other. And I watched the coaches showing them what to do to move somebody bigger than them backwards, okay? And I've watched those people listening to their coaches. And here's what the coaches were saying to them. If you do what I'm showing you to do, you'll be able to take this talent and convert it into a lot of money. I mean, that's exactly what they were doing down there on the football field. That's exactly what I'm trying to show you here. So, okay, I want to open it up if there's any questions out there. I think Lisa's going to acknowledge you, but if you have any questions, Benton, do you have any comments?
No, I mean, if there's any words of advice, I mean, I think the biggest thing for me was, and maybe other licensees have struggled with this too, but it's actually sitting down and doing it, actually committing to doing the steps and following the process and actually implementing it. You will see momentum starts to build, and it does work.
And don't make the mistake I make, letting your momentum get out of control, because it can ruin your health. Okay, it can it can get so fast, it can grow so fast that you're going to have to decide, you're going to have to give things up to make things happen. Do it slowly, do it controlled. Are there any questions out there?
Not a question, but just as I cheer myself on. I made 2 personal, suspect observations, and one of them is an appointment now at 10:30 on Friday. And the other one emailed me about an hour ago and said, "Hey, when can we get together?"
Absolutely, Tony. And that's a breakthrough, isn't it?
It is. It's like I've been fighting. I've been fighting.
And now, do you see how easy it is?
I mean, it's like it. Emulation works.
Okay, thank you, Tony. Any other questions? And I appreciate you coming up to the boot camp. I hope you learned a lot.
I did. I just sorry I wasn't able to get there for the second day. Did the recording work out?
No, because I didn't do it.
All right.
But it did lead to this presentation.
Good
'Cause
deal.
This is what we learned Friday. Come on, throw some questions at us, or some comments.
Randall, May wants to know when will the next boot camp be? Any chance for Las Vegas, since it's easy to get from most airports?
May, I don't have it on my calendar yet. I don't think it'll be in the fall. I'd like to do one out in your area, and all I can say to you is I'm glad you're here, and I'll try and schedule another boot camp soon. And you know, if you guys will support a boot camp, we'll try and do one. And it's hard for me to ask people that way out in California to come to Knoxville. It's hard for you know, but knowing Frank Divers, and if I talk to Frank Divers, I think we might be combining boot camps. If enough of you say you want one, I'll work on one. Is that fair?
Hey, Randall, I have a quick question. So I'm working with a client. She's a young lady, but she has 2 young children. She does not own a home. She doesn't have a lot of assets, but I'm working with her on a life insurance case. What would be like is there a minimum for creating a trust for her, like a net wealth kind of a thing?
Well, no, not a net wealth. The important thing in the estate plan is to have the proper paperwork. If she's a single mother and you draw her family tree, she will see the importance. If she didn't have a lot of money, that's the one I would lower the price on a little bit. You know, I would try to help her get into it, because and you kind of have to follow your heart and your mind on that, you know. But if you do page 3 of the confidential and see that she's got more money than you thought she had, don't feel uncomfortable about charging $19.95. But there's been several families that I have the situation that I saw that they were in warranted me lowering the price. I just had to learn not to go there to hunt a lot, not to model those families.
Right.
Because they would wind up me not making any money and doing the exact same work as I would be for $19.95.
Okay, sounds good.
I'm glad you're here today.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Okay. Any more questions? Come on, there's 20-something out there, 24 of you out there. Make a comment. Throw us a comment out there. How about it, Ed? Smiley? What's going on in your life out there that you might have learned today?
No questions, Randy. Just continue to focus on the 90-day plan, work hard, and the plan will work for you.
Oh, I appreciate that. And I work for you. I really, once I see that someone is involved and wants to go and make this happen, then I want to work for you, because I like to see and I can feel the excitement. And I know that there's been lives out in Texas and Maryland and Oregon and Alaska out there that could be affected by what we're talking about. Hawaii, you know, I keep worrying about those people in Maui that didn't know that their houses were gonna burn up and their families were gonna die in fires and things. Can you imagine the probate court in Maui? You know, with all those people that died not expecting to, you know, and how many could have been helped if someone had just said, hey, I think you might benefit from a conversation with me. What else we got out there?
Randy, this might be a really bad question, but sorry, I don't know what I don't know. So I work with a lot of business owners. Is there something within the steps in the questions that would address the business owner's business, to put it somehow like?
Yes, you get a funding kit. You get a funding kit with each trust that you sell that shows you how to put their business, regardless of what form it is, into the trust.
Okay, perfect.
And I will tell you, I think the biggest sale I made this year so far has been was a $70,000 annual premium life insurance policy
Nice.
to a business owner. Okay, I mean the biggest life insurance sale, and it's talking to the business owners about the potential, their potential value if they can no longer work in the business. Once I approached them about it, the bank that was involved in their business said, yes, we want you to do that. Do it as quick as you can, because they were wanting to lend another $5 million to that company.
Wow.
Okay. So, but they wanted to know that the person inside that company that knew the most was a 65-year-old hard driving person. And they wanted to know that he was insurable before they lent $5 million in there.
Makes
So-
sense.
So they included the premium into the loan.
Nice.
So yeah. If you work with business owners, they need an estate plan. I'm not going to say more so because everyone needs one, but they're open to it. And the power of attorney. I heard something else out there. Anybody else want to say something? We had a lot of interest last week in the master licensee concept and the senior master licensee concepts and the white label concepts. I want to find, in order for us to develop this process, I need people that want to build a downline and want to grow. I do not want you to want to build a downline if you haven't made a sale. I just don't even want to entertain it. But I need to see that you're building and growing and follow. I don't want somebody to train people that don't want to train the way I want to train them. I'm weird like that. But my way works. Okay. All right. If you don't have any other questions, I've got an appointment in 20 minutes and I'm going to be late. So I'm here if any of you have any more questions. But in a minute, I'm going to say goodbye for next week. Oh, next week is National Estate Planning Week across the whole United States. That'd be something you want to think about. Other than that, the rest is up to you. And I need to hear from you. I need to, if you're not talking to me, I'm not spending much time on you. If you're not making any sales, I can't spend a lot of effort on you because I've got too many people that come to me wanting help to close cases and work on marketing and stuff like that. I don't know why you're not talking to me, but that's your choice and it's your money. Or why, if you've been here over 60 days without a sale, let's figure out why. And let's get that out of the way, because once you get your teeth into a couple of good sales, you're going to want to do more. Okay. On 3. I'm out of here. 1.
Thank you much.
All right.
Thank
See you
you.
next.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.